one thing that I must say, the revolution is on, and this revolution will succeed. The songs of redemption, the songs of freedom will keep us going. William Ruto will go. The revolution will not be lost. We are in the right moment in history in this country, and we must continue fighting. Let us put him to check. Let us push in all avenues. The lawyers will fight in court, but we need the citizens to show that support. And so the Constitution, in as much as it has given us good provisions, it is what is helping us to expose and to challenge these hostile takeovers. One thing I want to say about the JKIA issue is that what we are witnessing is a rush to take away what are deemed to be the crown jewels of Kenya by individuals who are in office at the moment. And they are not paying attention to what our constitution is, what is the best interest of the people of Kenya. If you look at the proposed Adani deal, I heard about this thing sometimes last year. And that time, Murkomem was the CS for transport. And they were engaged in these high-level discussions. And it was secret. I just knew it was an Indian company. I didn't know it was Adani. And my thought at the time was that whichever thing you want to do at the airport, you have to open it up to a procurement process, open tender, people to bid. And at the time, I thought it was about just building a new terminal at the airport. But it seemed it was not even about building a new terminal at the airport. It is about taking over the airport, and not just JKIA. It is taking over all the airports that are manned by KAA. And you ask yourself, what is the issue? What is the problem that was being addressed? What is being attended to? If the problem was that JKIA, as presently built, is not capable of meeting its full potential in terms of the infrastructure therein, and that we need a new terminal. Yes, we need a new terminal. Kenya Airways, in their Mawingu policy document, had actually said we need a new terminal more than 20 years ago. When they did that, the Mawingu document, it was more than 20 years ago. So yes, we need a new terminal at the airport. But do we need to hand over JKIA as an asset to a foreigner? That is not the solution. If the foreigner is saying that they want to put up a new terminal, what has Wilson got to do with it? What does Kisumu Airport got to do with it? What about Mombasa Airport, Eldoret Airport? Why are they opening up all these airports? Number one. Number two, why the secret conversations with one particular entity, the Adani Group, who are not even to showcase to anybody a project and a model airport management that has met international standards or is a success story as a runway success? It doesn't exist. And you are being gaslighted that they are going to pump in 200 billion Kenya shillings to put up, to improve the infrastructure. But I ask myself, if the problem was that we need a new terminal at the airport and we are going to use to raise funds, the previous, when Kibaki was president, he had actually signed an agreement with ASEG to put up a new terminal at 55 billion Kenya shillings. Uhuru and Ruto cancelled that contract when they came into power. Now they're negotiating a 200 billion agreement with Adani, but in the process handing over the entire airport. JKIA, as it stands today, anybody who walks into JKIA, be it in a matatu, be it in a taxi, Uber, be it in your private vehicle, be you a passenger, be you an airplane that is landing, everybody pays money to JKIA, to KA. So JKIA is not a loss-making parastatal. It is a parastatal that just by virtue of just being there, constantly makes money. You are guaranteed. In fact, what you're looking for is to expand the capacity so that it can be able to handle more traffic, can be able to handle bigger equipment. Then you ask yourself, if that is an entity that will make money on its own, as it stands there, and you need now to expand the airport, why not float it then to NSE, at the NSE Stock Exchange, and invite Kenyans to buy shares into the company, turn to a public company, Kenyans to buy shares, and you fund that project from our own money. Then Kenyans will be earning dividends every year. So that I know every time I go to the airport, I'm a shareholder, I've bought shares in the airport, at the airport, I'm earning a dividend. I'll be able to earn. So you give our locals an opportunity to own these assets directly, as opposed to giving foreigners who have not been able to even prove in any way a special skill or expertise in developing and managing airports. So you'll find somewhere, I do believe, somewhere along the way, there's a single Kenyan or a group of Kenyans who are going to own maybe 30% or 40% of that. Their contribution in all this scheme is that they are facilitated by bending backwards our laws to accommodate this Indian takeover of JKIA. So their reward is to own 30% or 40% of the airport. It is not about the national interest, not about the Kenyan people. It's about them seeing an opportunity to acquire the assets that are owned by KAA and in the process own that land. JKIA sits on almost 500 acres of land. When you say that you're taking over the airport and you have all that vast parcel of land, you have the responsibility to determine how you're going to use the other parcels of land that are not utilized at the moment. It hosts even other government agencies within it. Are they going to be turned into tenants of this new entity? So they are guaranteed. KCA is at JKIA. KIA itself is at JKIA. So this takeover ultimately even turns our parastatals and all those enterprises within the airport to become tenants. So these guys are going to make money out of us for doing nothing, while the Kenyan people could have done this in a better way. Why not then open up this airport deal for tender? Let competent bidders come, even Kenyans, to come and bid and show their expertise in putting up runways and developing airports and build it. Let the best bidder do the project. If you don't want to do that route, I've given an option. You can go to NSC. Kenyans raise funds, KA itself does the project. Create a new terminal, and Kenyans will be able to own that particular terminal. But this is about trying to undermine our constitution. To William Ruto and his people, Article 10 of our constitution is an inconvenience. They do not seem to understand when we talk about public participation, when we talk about transparency, when we talk about accountability in every decision making that a policyholder is invited to make. So they're trying to now cleanse the process. They're inviting the public to speak, and not even the public, certain stakeholders, just the airport workers, who have the aviation workers who threatened to go on strike. They're inviting them to explain to them the decision, to get their buy-in. Public participation of when it comes to a decision of such a high magnitude that Kenyans are going to lose a crown jewel. You should start the public participation from the idea itself, whether it is worth it to hand over this crown jewel to a third entity. And the public will give you proposals like the one I'm making now. Why the Indians? Why not Kenyans? Why can't we put ourselves as a group of Kenyans and you invite us to the NSC and we buy shares into this entity and own this airport as ourselves? For how long are we going to be slaves in our own land? Yeah. So the constitution has become an inconvenient avenue to continue perpetuating the oppression of our people. So the constitution, in as much as it has given us good provisions, it is what is helping us to expose and to challenge these hostile takeovers. One thing that I must say, the revolution is on and this revolution will succeed. In fact, I want to emphasize that we are not even here because of the lawyers. The lawyers have played the role. But those who've helped us to get to this space are our artists, because our artists have been able to create the moment within our hearts. They've been a very key point in terms of mobilizing, in terms of bringing out these issues, the TikTok content creators, the musicians who sang the songs that are giving us hope to keep fighting. So I urge our artists to continue, even when there's a lull in the revolution. The songs of redemption, the songs of freedom will keep us going. William Ruto will go. The revolution will not be lost. We are in the right moment in history in this country, and we must continue fighting. Let us put him to check. Let us push in all avenues. The lawyers will fight in court, but we need the citizens to show that support. And these kind of engagements give us the support that we need. It even gives pressure to the judiciary, to the other citizens. Those who are in the civil service, majority of them are actually not happy with how William Ruto is running this country. In fact, they're saying We must break the chain of oppression, this chain of slavery that William Ruto superintends. It must be broken and the Kenyan people must be free. We are going to get there. I just urge you, Dr. Mumbi and Demta, to continue having this kind of conversation, because the more we talk about it, the more in our hearts we get emboldened to continue putting the regime at task. And the new Kenya we're going to create is going to be a Kenya that is about us versus them. We've defined ourselves. We are about the best interest of the nation. They are about the best interest of the individual politicians. They don't care about us. And we, at the end of all this, the new Kenya we're going to have will be one in which the regime will be all about ensuring the best interest of the Kenyan. All the issues we're discussing, in whichever sector, in whichever area, whatever decision we made by government will be for the benefit of the people of Kenya. Right now we have MPs. I can buy MPs, even 20 of them, even 100 of them. 10,000 shillings an MP will do for you whatever you want. They are so cheap. They have abandoned their core calling to represent, to oversight, and to legislate to the best interest of the people of Kenya. So let us take it that we are on our own. We have no representatives, and we are going to do this on our own as the people of Kenya. Thank you very much, and I wish you a great evening.